So, after 100 days of intensive use of the reMarkable Paper Pro, it is now time for a comprehensive wrap-up or final verdict, I would say. And I can confidently make a decision whether to keep the device or not. What makes it actually truly revolutionary, if at all? Is the Gallery 3 screen really the deal breaker or the unique selling proposition? What about the writing experience? And are these things so much better implemented than on other devices of the competition? Let's get into it. So this is, as you know, the reMarkable Paper Pro. The hardware, after having it used for really 3 months non-stop, the hardware is gorgeous. There is no criticism from my side. You have a nice metal backside. You have these large rubber feet to put it on a slippery surface. And it's very minimalistic. I think they have borrowed a little bit of the design language from Apple, to be honest. Here are the connectors, the pogo pins, if you purchase a keyboard folio, which I do intentionally, not because I'm using something else for typing. And actually, you can see I've produced a video about the Astrohouse FreeWrite device already, and I will come up very soon with a review and personal usage experience of the smaller sibling, the Astrohouse Traveler. So back to the reMarkable, it's quite minimalistic. It does not try to be an iPad, and it is no iPad. So it has just the slightly structured edges, not as rounded as on other devices, so that's something you realize. And here is also the connector to charge the pen. Now if you put the pen on, it's actually charging, and if the device is turned on, you see a charging indicator. That's absolutely handy. So if you take it off, then the device is turning itself on. And that is something which I think is extremely useful, because it gives you the chance just to take the pen and start doing something. Now for note taking, what I like is this quick sheet feature. You just open and it creates, if it does not exist, a new notebook, and it creates a new empty page, and you can say, okay, this is now my page 1. Okay, go back and it's here. And if by accident, again, you don't want to plan anything, you just want to take a quick note, you open quick sheet and it creates a page 2 automatically, and you can create your page 2. Now what you see as well is here the lightning setting, and I don't know if you can really see it on the video, but the brightest setting you see a little bit of background dim, and here hardly, and if it's turned off, yeah, a slight difference is visible. Now there have been a lot of comments about this background lighting, or actually it's a front light which goes over the surface of the e-ink, because it does not directly shine into your eyes, but it makes the text fully readable. While many people have been criticizing that it is too dim, I actually criticize the opposite, because during the day, as you can see, it almost makes no difference, and it's not intended for daylight reading anyway. So I don't need it during the day. I'm very happy as the device as it is now, and I also like that the colors here, the bezel color and the background color are actually very, very similar. So it's a smooth reading experience. It has an effect on your perception, and it makes the whole readability better if there is not a very strong contrast between the bezel and the content. So if you use a black device, then you should actually invert the screen and also use white on black text, which for e-ink is not ideal, and therefore this is the best way to go. So I like it as it is. I have no criticism about that. I can just tell you that if I use the lighting at night time, then this position, which is barely visible here now in the video, is too bright for me to read at nighttime. Simply because, you know, from photography, if we take a photo camera and we turn the aperture wide open, yeah, we have a, I don't know, a very good lens with an aperture of 1.4, something like this, then there is a lot of light going in, and your eye does exactly the same thing if it's absolutely dark around you. And if I turn it then on to the highest position here, it's too bright for me. So the contrast between the absolute black background of the night around me and the highest screen setting here is not for me. Yeah, I go always for this setting, but that is a little bit on the low side. So there would be something in between. So my wish, if reMarkable is at all watching these videos and maybe comes across this particular section and they are watching my comment, please implement in the future a continuous slider and not these discrete steps, because this would allow me to go somewhere in between, and that would please my eyes at nighttime much more, because this is too bright and this is possible but a little bit dim. So there we have it. Here you see, by the way, also the indicator when it's charging. Now I'm going to turn this off again because we don't really need it for this video at daytime. The position on the table is absolutely fantastic because it's flat and it has these 4 little rubber feet, even on a glossy surface. If you compare this with one of the devices that many have been also reviewing and talking about, this is one of the Onyx Books series. This is the Tab Ultra C, not the Pro. And you see that I'm not using it anymore because it really asks for battery charging. And I will do that, otherwise maybe the battery is suffering. But what I wanted to show you is this particular camera bump here. And if I put it in this position, I think you can see it. It's quite protruding. And if you put this on a surface, even on this, because I've now such a a soft shell cover here on my desk, but even then you see it's wobbling. And if it's on a hard surface, then you really hear that, and it's also slipping around all the time. Also, the way they made it possible to attach the stylus is great. You see what happens here. Yeah, it's okay, it works, but it's always a risk of losing the pen. I did not lose it so far in the sense of, having to purchase a new one, because I wouldn't, because there are so many other ESR pens available, but it is definitely something to consider. Now, comparing that with the reMarkable Paper Pro, this is extremely sturdy. You can lift it like that. You cannot fully hold it on hanging on the Actually, you can. So you see, it's really a strong magnet and it wouldn't fall off itself. It doesn't also rotate, nothing like that. It's really, really sturdy. And then you have, and this is what I really love with this device, a very simple solution. You have this cover and it perfectly fits here between these two front and back covers of this folio. And you have this very simplistic solution here, this little slip thing, and it's magnetic, and just put it like that and it holds really perfectly in place, so you never lose this stylus. And if you are really using it and you have it on the table, want quick access, you don't need it. It's strong enough. But if you put it in a bag, just this one, and it's done. So I really like this construction. Very, very well thought, and absolutely usable in real life. Now let's get back to the screen and to the device itself. The screen is absolutely fantastic. And now there is, of course, a big discussion, the technology. Do we actually need e-ink at all? Is an iPad not much better? And I can tell you one thing from my personal experience. If you want to be productive, if you want to read, and if you want to take notes, then e-ink is the way to go. And the second thing, particularly with this device, the first really usable implementation of the Gallery 3 technology, it is absolutely fantastic. So the colors are vibrant. A yellow is a yellow, a blue is a blue, and that's absolutely great. And it depends on your use case, absolutely. So if your use case is like mine, that you read a lot of scientific papers, a lot of textbooks where color elements in graphics, etc., are important, then you should really consider a color device, whatever you choose at the end. But color is in some cases vital, and not only an illustration or a nice to have. In some cases, it's really delivering information. If you have diagrams and graphs which contain a lot of color-coded information, let's put it like that. So, for example, here is an article which I've captured from the web, and it contains a picture, like an illustration. The rest is pure text. So actually you don't need this picture. And there are also two Chrome extensions which you can use to capture web articles. And I'm using this now because I found that my workflow to read articles which require an Android app usually, or a web browser, is the same, or it does not really change when I use the Chrome extension and read it on my reMarkable tablet, because I never, I'm never on the go and just scrolling infinitely through feeds of social media or Medium or Substack or anything like that. I usually go in the morning, I have my digest, and I bookmark some articles which I may have time to read later. Now, bookmarking an article or clicking on the Chrome extension to send it to the reMarkable tablet, there is no difference. It does take the same time, and here I have actually the advantage that I have it as a real document. And you see here is a couple of web articles, and some of them are already tagged. When I read them, I do a tag and then I archive them, etc. They don't take up a lot of space, but they give me essentially the chance to keep this information if it's valuable, and also to highlight it, of course. So if I read an article with a lot of interesting facts, and I want to remember that, I could highlight it, I can tag it, you can tag single pages, and that's extremely, extremely useful. And actually, there is no problem not to use the original Medium app on an Android-powered e-ink device, because the highlighting and the note-taking thing here is actually giving me an additional advantage the other technology does not have. So that's, if you are wondering if that is a problem for me or not, no, it is actually not. Now let's get into another article like this one. And this is also captured with a Chrome extension, but not the original reMarkable extension. There's a third-party extension, and you can include the graphics in the article. Now, honestly, this first, let's call it featured image, is usually not important to understand or to read the article, because it's more of an illustration purposes. But here, for example, this article is about how AI will transform the global economy, and here is a graphic showing the impact of AI in the future on the job market worldwide, advanced economics, emerging markets, and low-income countries. And yes, sure, there could be, because it's only two colors on a reMarkable 2 or any other grayscale device, you could probably distinguish, because the grayscale of this blue is darker than the grayscale conversion of this red. But in more complex situations with a lot of different colors, you have a unique advantage if you use a color device. So that's that. And for me, again, my use case almost requires me to use color, and I'm now honestly getting rid of all the e-ink black and white devices having this, except the Onyx Books Parma, because it's so pocketable, but all the other 10.3-inch devices, color or not, will be sold in the near future, because I don't have any usage for them any longer. There is one more advantage which you may not have thought about yourself if you're not having a lot of ebooks and you are more the note taker rather than the e-reader. But you see here one thing. If you go into the cover art section in my library, and I see all these books, this is a dummy book in red, this is blue, then here's a couple of Springer books which have color background in dark blue, technical, mathematical, books often are in red. IT-related books are sometimes here, at least from this publisher, in yellow or orange, and so on. So it makes your books much more recognizable. I found myself to look much longer for the right book on black and white devices than on this one. It's really much easier to find something because you have somehow a picture. I'm a visual guy, and I remember how the book looks like, and if it's in color, it's so much easier to recognize. Now, this is really a minor and maybe a very unique point of view of mine, but it makes a difference for me. So first decision for myself, I will never again purchase a black and white e-ink device because it simply does not cut it for me. So during these first 100 days, I've of course also thought making about such a video at the end of this period and showing to you or giving you a final summary of my thoughts. And one of the big discussions about this tablet was the text quality, because the resolution is lower than on a pure black and white device like the Onyx Books Go 10.3, but the quality of the text is very good, if admittedly not exactly the same. So yes, it has lower resolution and it has slightly lower contrast because it's still a color ink device. Now it has much better contrast than the competing Kaleido 3 devices, but still compared to pure black and white device with 300 ppi of resolution, the text quality is inferior. You have to admit that openly. But what I found is, in a normal reading situation, you have usually a distance of about 30 to 50 centimeters to the screen. You are not pressing this thing onto your nose directly. Then, at least at my eyesight, maybe because I'm 51 years old and I wear glasses, but I don't see the difference. Yeah, so I can see it if I go very close, and I can see it if I use a lens, or I use even a macro lens on my photo camera. And I've done this, in one of my earliest reviews with all the pixel peeping and showing the differences, how the color rendering looks like in a extreme close up, but that is not real world use case scenario. And this is about real world use case. So if you read in normal reading distance, which I can imagine would look like that now on your YouTube screen, because it's somehow filling the screen of the video, but you are likely not sitting in front of the screen and pressing your nose to your smart TV. So I think this is a decent quality. And in bright sunlight, I cannot distinguish the text quality from any other modern e-ink device. I don't see pixels, such the text does not appear sharp enough to me. You can see, again, going close, but in normal reading distance, it does not make a difference. By the way, if you made a similar experience, I've tried filming some videos with my GoPro in 4K 60 and comparing that with the Sony Alpha. It's the Sony Alpha 7CR, which is a €4,000 camera and a decent lens. And if you film only in 1080p, the quality is so much better than on a small lens in 4K. So it's more about the optics than the real resolution. And this is the same here. The text, for example, sitting outside in outdoor conditions, bright sunlight, or even covered sky, but still outside conditions, and you can read for hours and without any eye strain. So this is absolutely fantastic. What is not fantastic, though, is the screen refresh rate. And you are used to that if you are using e-ink devices, and taking into account the Gallery 3 technology, it is fantastic, but still what you see is that the refreshes take some time. Now, if you are now asking the elephant in the room, this does not have Android, so I cannot use any normal Android apps, etc. So if you want to compare this with one of the best performing Onyx devices and even running a YouTube app on it and using a Kaleido 3 screen. Yes, you can, and you can even watch YouTube on those devices, and it's absolutely okay if it's not about cinematic quality. If you just want to, hear some comments about the new product, like a product review of these devices, or one of my other videos, or maybe an educational video on AI or something like that, you usually do not need the best screen quality. That's absolutely fine. This device does not even offer this. Full stop, it's not meant for this purpose. But for what it is meant for what it is intended to do, the screen refresh rate is absolutely fine, and I have no problem with this little, refresh artifacts, and also sometimes the colored background. Initially, sometimes it was annoying me. In the meantime, I don't even realize it. So that's one big thing to take into account, because it is actually not a real problem. What is one of the biggest pluses of this device is definitely the sunlight readability, like all e-ink devices, plus the best color rendering in this class of products at the moment. And this makes it, for me, a unique device, a unique selling proposition for the reMarkable company, and that's one of the main reasons to use such a device. Reading on electronic devices, on iPads and phones outside, even in springtime when the sun comes out, is annoying and sometimes impossible. And yes, one of the creators, which you may know, who creates a lot of reviews about e-ink devices, has called me in an email an e-ink aficionado. And yes, in a way I am. I can somehow relate to this nickname if you want. That's fine for me. But these devices really offer you something that others cannot, other devices cannot deliver. Sometimes what you see as well, and just giving you this here, so now you won't see that, but if you turn it on at nighttime in the brightest setting, you see a little bit of light glow, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but here is the edge of the bezel, and you see that there's a little bit of light glow going into the bezel itself, because it's not fully, it's slightly transparent, yeah, and some people complained about this. I honestly, yes, it is there. If it's something that is a problem for you, you have to know it, but it does not really make any difference for me. The real biggest downside of this entire device, and that is one of my considerations, shall I send it back or not? And that is the screen size. Because all of the other devices with 10.3, 10 point whatever, 9-inch, even, foldable phones, they are way too small for scientific paper reading. And this can handle it, but I would have wished so much for a 13.3-inch device. So the screen size is too small for me. Now, for some it may be too large, because it's of course a little bit heavier than the other devices, but I really would like, please, reMarkable, if you're watching this video, give us a 13.3 reMarkable Paper Pro Max, whatever. I mean, Apple has made this naming convention possible, so follow them and create such a device that would cover full A4 pages, or for American watchers, this is the like US letter is more or less the same thing. A full page, like in print layout, would fit on this page, and you could easily read it in 100% scaling. Now, there, many papers that you read on this device can be shrinked, can be extended, can be zoomed in. You can cut off the edges, and this is a little bit difficult given the operating system and the limitations there. But still, full size would be so great. It would even give a little bit more battery life, which is still absolutely sufficient, but it could extend it to, I don't know, 1 month without charging. and so on. So that's something you should definitely know, and it's really something to consider if you want to read large documents. I doubt that we will receive such a large device from reMarkable anytime soon, but my wish is delivered. Please, reMarkable, Christmas is coming. Work on it, at least for next year. So, and there are a couple of things that from the software side which could be mentioned as well, which are a limiting factor. And let's just start here again. I'm going now, for example, into my library and open, where is it? If I open here, I don't know, where is it here? For example, this article from Apple Research, and you can see that this article is, well, let's put it like that, on the small side. Yeah, you can read it, but of course there is enough space around to crop the page and to zoom in, and then it's decent. And also the speed of the pinch and zoom is absolutely fine. You have a little bit gray, the yellow background artifacts here from the non-happening screen refresh, which waits a little bit. But for me, again, this is not a limitation, so I can work with that. But if you go then back into the number 1 scaling, that's absolutely fine. And if this little, artifacts from the e-ink device stay at the background, you can actually simply turn off and turn on again, and it's all gone. Yeah, but still, reMarkable software does work extremely well in handling screen refreshes and screen rendering, so there is no complaint from my side. There is one more thing which I really find annoying, absolutely annoying, and let's go back maybe to this paper here and say this is about the reasoning capabilities of large language models, because these models are, as we all know, called artificial intelligence, quote unquote, but they are far away from being intelligent. And this article is elucidating some of the underlying principles, and it's actually quite a good paper. Now, I could here highlight this one, and I could use my tagging system, and it's tagged already with generative AI. Writing, maybe not, but I have a couple of other tags, and here you see the main issue. All of these tags are here resorted when I use a new tag. So someone at reMarkable thought, these guys are using, so if a user is going to use the tagging system, he wants to use the most frequently used tags on top of the list. But the problem is they are not sorted in any shape or form. So this is an arbitrary mixture of all the tags, maybe as they have been created, and then while you use them, you cycle through them because the recently used tag is always coming on top. Now for this paper, there should be, here I find it, here there should be a tag language, because it's dealing with language, generative AI and language. So I go now back, and if I untap this, you see it's now tagged with language. So far so good. And now if I go back to the tagging system, you now see that language is here presented on top. And actually, reMarkable, please, if you watch my video, here it's absolutely great to have these tags, the recently used tags available. But if you go to view all, for God's sake, could you please sort them in alphabetical order? Because it's so hard to look for example, YouTube or logic or navigation or oceanography or project management, because I have to scroll through all of them for every single usage. And I cannot say how annoying this is. So this is, apart from the screen size, this is my second biggest complaint on this device. This makes it really extremely annoying to use. Apart from that, I can follow some of the commenters under previous videos that I've made. The tagging system does currently not allow you to use some more it's not even fancy logic, it's simple logic. So if I filter now for, let's say, language, then I find a couple of books related to language. But I could, for example, say now, because I flagged this paper with generative AI and language, but it's more related how generative AI works with language and with logic. Actually, I should put logic here. Than the other ones, which are simply courses and grammars and so on. So maybe I should be able to use a simple combination. And I can now say, for example, look for language and literature, does not exist. For language and generative AI does exist. But I cannot say I'm looking for generative AI, but not language. So I can only use an logical AND connection by tapping both of these tags, but I cannot use a negative exclusion of another tag. So look for all tags in, let's say, philosophy, but exclude all documents about generative AI, because I have many papers on generative AI and ethics and the consequences for society and so on, which are also flagged under philosophy. But I would like to have a little bit more granular possibilities to do this. Currently, this is not possible. I would love to have this feature in the future. And please, reMarkable, think about it. This is only a software thing. But now going back to the main list of documents, the most annoying thing for me is really the tagging, sorting, and that the tags are not easy to find. The fact that they exist, and I have a couple of 100 documents on this device, is really fantastic, and it works very well. Let's, by the way, look into my settings and see where we are. And we look into storage, and you see I have 40 gigabytes used. That's fine, but that's the next complaint. We are in 2024, soon approaching 2025. 64 gigabytes is really such a small amount of memory. And I see that the original reMarkable was intended, or was actually sold and marketed as a note-taking device with e-reading features if you wish to use that. This is now more an e-reader with note-taking features, and as such, 64 gigs is not enough any longer. Either include, please, in the future, a slot for a extension card, micro SD card, or I mean, this is a cheap memory. We don't need fast memory, and these normal eMMC chips are absolutely sufficient. Include at least 128 gigs of RAM, of storage, if not 256. For this price point, 64 is really too small in 2024. I'm sorry for that. So that is really my second biggest complaint regarding the hardware. It is too small for academic papers and large textbooks, and the storage is a little bit limited. I know, yet you can, of course, fill the cloud with all your documents and then download selectively. Yes, but it would be so much nicer to have a little bit more space. You know, my Calibre library, where I keep all my books, is about 300 gigabytes large, and I do not expect to load all of them on this device, but 80% of those books which I use also for just lookup, etc., would be really great. Now, regarding the software, there's also one thing I would really like to see, and this is full text indexing. Now, you can of course search here for generative, and you would likely find 93 matches. What it does, it looks for the titles. Okay, so if you are searching for a document in generative AI, in this case, you find documents which contain this in the title. And then you can, of course, filter, for example, for writing, there is nothing. For language, again, there's nothing because it's not in the title. That's interesting, yes. Digital, maybe, no. Literature, no. Productivity, the effects of generative AI and high-skilled work, blah, 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 is a paper, yes. Okay, But you see here, you have filters to look for documents, folders, PDFs, ebooks, and of course your notes, but it's not analyzing the content. So I would really like to see a full text indexing feature of all the documents, all the PDFs, all the ebooks, and all your handwritten notes. Of course, the device cannot handle that, but hey, come on. We are living in an area of cloud features, and we are paying a cloud subscription on this one. And I would even be willing to pay more if there was a cloud feature supported by generative AI to understand my handwriting and give me here a search functionality to find everything, even again, powered by generative AI, look for a particular topic and not just looking for full text indexing keywords of my PDF files, but finding this in an intelligent way by applying a semantic search model. And that is something that could be a unique selling proposition for reMarkable and would also not make any difference for the marketing strategy as a minimalistic and distraction-free device, because this is nothing which happens on the device. This is nothing which you have to implement or you take care of yourself, or you don't need any extensive tagging, which is again some sort of additional work that you have to do, but it would be silently done in the background, and it will really make it the best platform, the best document and productivity ecosystem I can imagine. But this is currently a little bit limiting my use cases, and therefore I wanted to mention it to you. Maybe you are completely different and you see it from a different point of view, but this is how I see it and how I use the device for my personal purpose. The last point I want to mention, and this is the big elephant in the room for many, is it is a proprietary system. It is based on a Linux backend, and you can even enable developer mode and log into a secure shell, SSH, and then see the directory structure. And there are a couple of hacks available, like for example to make this brighter. Here, again, the screen brightness. Honestly, I have not done any hacks so far, and I'm not intending to do, because I don't really see a big benefit. And again, if you refresh, if then there's a system upgrade, and likely most of these changes that you apply are overwritten, and some of them may also kill some functionality, and if not applied properly, you may have problems and crashes, etc. So for me, this is a device that I use for work, and I need full reliability, and therefore I'm not hacking this device. But you can, and I think therefore the platform is very open, and it could be amended in the future with additional features. There is one particular thing I wanted to mention as a small wrap up, and this is no. Now, talking about the operating system, yes, it has no Android, and yes, this is intentional, and yes, I love that. So there are a couple of many hundred of comments out there, documents and reviews, which criticize exactly the limitations of the system. Now, I've even read one article which is I cannot even say these words on YouTube because the algorithm would likely block my content, but it's insulting in a way. And I think this is not fair, because you know what you get. If you need an Android tablet because you think you need full productivity, then get an Android tablet. And yes, there are Android tablets with which contain e-ink screen, and some of them are actually gorgeous, like this one in black and white. I'm still not using it anymore because this one is simply so much better for my use case, because I don't need the Android apps on this device. If I want to stay productive, then this is what I use. I mean, come on, this is a full office in a small form factor. You see how large the screen is compared to the reMarkable Paper Pro. It's 8-inch, of course it's not 11.8, but it's fantastic. So you have a full pocket office with you, and yeah, you can of course use those devices. If you're using a device like that, you want your maybe several apps for online meetings, your spreadsheets, you want to write documents, you want not full-featured but capable text editor like Word or Google Docs or anything like that. And all of that is available here, but it's not that. This is for sitting down and reading, and only reading, and taking notes, and only taking notes. Not worrying about messages or emails or anything like that. The distraction-free approach has its pros and its cons. So last but not least, there have been a couple of videos, and I've produced one of myself, which you find linked here. It's about the writing experience. Now, it is a harder, and you may hear that, yeah, it's a harder glass than maybe the glass is the same hardness as on the reMarkable 2, but the tips of the pen are different. It's a completely different technology. It's active. It needs to be charged, and you see the charging indicator here if you attach it. So that is all something to consider. It is different to write on this. And some reviewers also complained about the noise that the writing makes, but this is close to real paper. So while the reMarkable 2 is closer to, I would say, a felt tip pen on rough paper, it has a huge amount of friction. And actually, after using this now for almost 3 months, too much for me. So the reMarkable Paper Pro, many of you loved how the writing experience on the screen is. For me, after getting now used to the Paper Pro, and I think this is really just a question of getting used to it, nothing more. But for my personal preference, this is ideal. This is the good mixture between, yes, having some friction, but not being too restrictive, not being too sticky, and the background is a little bit hard. It's like having a piece of paper on the wooden desk or on a glass desk and writing on it. It's a little bit harder, but it is, I would say, it's close to writing with a fountain pen on paper lying on a flat, hard wooden desk. This is a little bit about the feeling. So yeah, so for me, it's actually really well balanced and absolutely okay. Give it a try, because it is not so much different from many other e-readers or e-ink tablets. It is very, very different from writing with an Apple Pencil on an iPad Pro, even if I have the paper-like screen protector, but it has not the same grip as this screen and this tip has. And actually, you can likely not see it, but the tip on this pencil, and I've really used it quite significantly, it doesn't wear off extensively compared to many other tips, especially on the reMarkable 2, which had a very high friction. So you have, this is my first tip, and it still is absolutely fine. I'm actually still using it. So I'm absolutely happy with the note-taking, but of course your mileage may vary and you may have different experiences yourself. So, final verdict, because this device is now not new anymore. I don't see that I will produce a lot of more reviews, except maybe usage scenarios and specific use cases if you're asking for. But overall, is this device worth considering? And I would definitely say yes, if you are in the market for a distraction-free e-ink device with the best currently available color rendering features, the biggest currently available size, and you are accepting or you are appreciating some of the inherent limitations because the screen is technologically limiting you to some things that you cannot do or you can do, especially large high frame rates or videos or color accurate rendering of photos. No, this is not the right technology. And then, of course, if you are someone who is always looking for a huge amount of apps on your device, which fulfills all of your needs from banking to productivity to leisure like YouTube watching or listening to music, this is not the device for you either, because it does not provide those features. It is really for me, it is an e-reader with note-taking features. Maybe reMarkable would disagree, because for them it's maybe like a note-taking device with e-reading features, but that's how it is. It's my use case. And my biggest complaints with this device is actually the size. Yeah, the size is way too small for large size scientific papers. There are workarounds. You can put it in landscape mode, you can crop, but really reMarkable, please, Christmas is coming, please plan next year at least a reMarkable Paper Pro, Max, Plus, whatever. Be creative with the naming conventions, as all the other companies are, but provide us with a full-size A4 tablet. For our American friends, should be able to render US letter in a similar way without any cropping. And that would give you the market edge for all the academic people using such a device. I think this is absolutely necessary and is really missing on the market. But still, it's the biggest of its kind at the moment, and therefore it is still something for me to have in my arsenal of devices, and I definitely keep it. The next thing I really have a problem with is the sorting of the tags. This tag sorting is a huge issue for me, and maybe some of you are saying, never saw that actually, don't bother. Fine. But I use the tags extensively, and that they are always resorted, and I've looked through 2 columns of tags to find the right one, because they are not alphabetically sorted. That's really a bummer. And please reMarkable, that's a software fix. You don't need to reinvent the device. No Max for this one. Simple as software upgrade in the future. And maybe keep the recency sorting, or whatever this is called. So the latest used tags on top in the pop-up section. But if you go to view all, then I think we should have a fully alphabetically sorted list of tags available. And then, not so crucial for me, but I take into account some of the comments under my previous videos. The tagging it only allows AND connections, logical AND. Yeah, you look for tag A and tag B, but you cannot say I look for A without B. Yeah, and not or exclusion. That would be really important to have as well. And at the end of the day, that is one of the main features which I use to sort my documents. Now, all the Android discussions, all of that is not relevant for me, because I know what I buy. I know that it is not with Android and it has certain limitations. And this is actually one of the reasons I bought it for. So forget all the hater comments that some of you may have received or may have read on the internet about how stupid can one be to buy a device which has less features than the competitor. It is not always about features. It is about fitting in your personal use case and what you want to do with it. And for me, it's fine. If it's for you, then I really can highly recommend this device. Christmas is coming, so maybe Santa Claus or Christkind or whoever is delivering the presents in your region may be of assistance. And if not, then buy something else. It's fine. But for me, it has really changed my personal way of working in the last couple of months. And I have used this tablet in 3 months, in 100 days, more than I used my iPad over the entire existence cycle of the iPad since 2007. I've used it more than my reMarkable 2. I've used it over the 2 years I own it. I've used it more than all the Onyx devices I own, including the Onyx Books Palmer. But this is, again, a carry-on device. This is really something in the pocket and go. This is too large. Of course, this is too big for that. But yes, it's definitely one of my main devices, which I have always with me, which is taking all my notes, my thoughts, my comments, and I've seen a tremendous increase in productivity because, and that is something I cannot stress often enough, if you handwrite your notes, you invest much more thought in what you are writing down, and you're not just typing blindly what you hear. Essentially, your brain becomes a pass-through generator of words when you just listen and type to a keyboard. The thing is, here you have digest the information. Nobody can handwrite in the same speed as you can type. And therefore, what you take down, what you jot down as visuals, as notes, is really something that has been processed by your mind in an active way. So, and therefore, combining this without all the distractions in other devices and the marvelous hardware, my decision was to keep it despite the high price tag. Yes, it's expensive. You have to swallow this. But it is something which is worth if you have the right use case. So without having an affiliate link in my section below, I love to read your comments, but I have no affiliate link for reMarkable, and I'm not attached to them in any shape or form. But if Christmas is coming and you're looking for really a gorgeous e-reader with note-taking facilities, or a note-taking device with e-reading facilities, but nothing more, and the best available color rendering screen at the moment in this form factor and size, then I can just highly recommend to go for this device. Now, I hope you found this video interesting and useful, and I have been asked by some of you in the comments, because I always say that I'm not buying the keyboard folio. That's right, because for typing I have different devices. I use the Astro House free write devices. I have two. I have the typewriter for home, and for mobile use I use the Traveler. And I will come up soon with a review of the free write Traveler, and also an interesting update about recent developments in the AI scene, because there have been some noticeable announcements and developments in the last couple of weeks, which I think you should know before you use ChatGPT and think you can create a huge amount of texts without thinking, because that's not gonna happen in the future anyway. So stay tuned if you're interested in my thoughts about technology and AI, and I wish you a great day and see you in the next one.